Danny Cancian is serving 5 years in a Chinese jail for killing a man.
Danny is in an 8 metre by 6 metre cell with an open latrine in the back of the cell and 40 of them sleep in it on the floor on mats.
Steelworker Wu Li Ming, known as Uncle Lee, died in hospital several hours after he and his friends attacked Danny in a restaurant. Police released his Kiwi mate Prakash, but they charged Danny with Wu Li Ming's death.
Those 5 people coming towards you, and then one pulls off your hat and starts punching you. Obviously, you're afraid.
Reason enough, says Danny's wife Amanda, for him to plead self-defence.
You're scared for your life, so you get up and fight back.
The judge recognised he was defending himself, but convicted him of intentional injury, saying,
"His action, which causes serious harm and one person's death, has obviously exceeded the necessary limits."
Now, the courts did agree he was acting in self-defence, but they say he went too far. What's your view of that?
Well, it's how you interpret how far too far is. If your adrenaline's running and you're sort of scared for yourself, who knows how far? You know, there's no actual measure, is there, to determine how much is too much.
I don't think that has gone past self-defence.
Danny's sister Rachel says to understand Danny's panic, you have to know the family tragedy.
The murder of my father came into the factor.
1983, and the Cancians are burying Danny's slain father, Robert.
Our father was murdered when we were 16 and 17. And maybe that was in the back of Danny's mind, like he didn't want to end up the same way, you know. He wanted to fight back, and that's what he did.
Back then, at the Cancian home, Robert was the one fighting off assailants they'd broken in.
One of them had a shotgun, and one of them had a baseball bat. And basically, his de facto wife's mother lived next door, and she walked in as it was all happening as well. And they grabbed the old lady and put a gun to her head and said, "Stop." So he stopped. And then they taped his hands up behind his back, put him on the bed, and the guy smashed his head with a bat 3 or 4 times.
The family have a life sentence. I think the murderer got out after 14 years, but the family's still serving that pain, that reminders, that the pain was... I'm sorry.
And Danny would have felt that too?
Absolutely. The fear of dying like my father died.
It's just part of a case the Cancians would have liked to see argued further with the judge. How much did the attack by Wu Li Ming and his friends frighten a man already traumatised by the murder of his father? But this is not a country that welcomes criticism. Communist rule through the People's Liberation Army and the party is still absolute. Just as the politics work differently, so do the courts.
What do you think of the court case,
No,
the way it was conducted?
It's a joke.
Why?
Well, half-a-day trial. His lawyer had no witnesses to cross-examine. The main judge gets to read what happens and then goes away for 6 weeks to make a decision on a half-a-day case.
Danny's been told he can appeal the conviction. Until then, he's held at the detention centre in Fashan.
It's been how long since you heard his voice or spoke to him?
8 months. It's not fair. You know, he's a victim as well.
Amanda's only contact has been through the occasional heavily censored letter.
Tell everyone I'm really sorry this horrible thing has happened. And he said he loves us and he's sorry and just doesn't want to be there any longer than what he has to be.
It's really hard, isn't it? Makes you feel pretty helpless.
Very helpless. Absolutely useless.
Behind all that is a nagging doubt.
Who knows whatever happened to the men that were involved in the attack. They all should have been pulled in at the same time, not just the foreigners taken away.
Rachel Cancian's question, was Danny singled out because he was a foreigner?
It may well be the case, but what I heard is totally opposite.
Raymond Ho, Labour list MP.
Foreigners, especially you are from New Zealand, for instance, are very well respected in China.
Raymond qualified as a lawyer, first in China, later in New Zealand. His judgment, being a foreigner, could have actually worked in Danny's favour.
For criminal cases, especially those concerning foreigners, judges assigned are relatively more competent and less subject to pressure, for instance, from the local government officials.
Less pressure. So there is sometimes some pressure?
Of course.
It's a slim hope, but Raymond is offering to help the Cancians.
I'm very interested in looking at the transcript of the arguments in the court. I will write to the local authorities in China to find out what's going on.
But the conviction already has cost Danny more than his freedom.
We've pretty much had to sell all our assets just to be able to cover lawyers' fees, which have been huge.
That includes losing the family home. Then, for the privilege of Danny being packed into a cell with 40 others, Amanda has to pay the jail.
Anything from $150 to $200 a week. And if I don't pay that, well then, pretty much that's his food money.
But there's more. The court has ordered Danny to pay $75,000 compensation to the victim's family.
They expect payment within a month, and when you explain you've got no money left, they don't care. It's been ruled, and you have to pay.
So no money, no Danny. Now, what do you say to the argument that the family should be compensated? After all, they lost their loved one.
I feel sorry for them. They have lost a member of their family. You know, and it's not easy.
As the main breadwinner, I believe he supported his family, and I do believe that they've lost that. But then so has Danny's family lost that. The dead man's family and Danny's wife and children are actually in the same boat, and it's very sad for both situations, I think.
The Cancians say they've gone public as a plea for help.
Maybe a bit of pressure from the New Zealand government may help on their system, you know. Hopefully.
The people of New Zealand should know about this, so no other family member in New Zealand has to go through the pain and suffering that we've been through.
Do you think you'll get him back?
Oh, we know we will one day. But it won't be soon enough. I want him back now.